Creation, the greatest gift of life, is expressed through our choices. Through our choices, we create our realities. Shatter the illusion. If our reality dissatisfies us, we are free to destroy it and begin again. It's time to stop the ignorance.
A better example. Many signs in this time point to a brighter day, but we can't try to pretend that this year evil empire's been washed away. Because to unify the people, we've got to learn to tell the truth, and to build a new foundation. We've got to rewrite all the history books. Yeah, don't you drink bad water. Can't believe in what they say. Must build on illusion no more. No, this is the time to be living. Can't you see the time has come? Now, it's time for revision. Hey, know the beast that makes us suffer. Have the vision to. Big love from Big Mountain. Well, I think it's fine building jumbo planes or taking a ride on a cosmic train. Switch on the summer from a slot machine. Yes, you can get what you want if you want. You can get anything. Yeah, hey. I know we come a long way. We're changing day to day, yeah. Tell me, where do the children play? Where do the children play? Hey. Where do the children play? Well, they roll on the roads over fresh green grass, with their lorry loads of pumping petrol gas. And they make them long, and they make them tall. But they just go on and on, till it seems you can't get on. Yeah, hey, I know we come a long way, changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Where do the children play? Where do the children play? Yeah. Where do the children play? You know they crack the sky, scrapers fill the air. But will they keep on building higher till there's no room up there? Or will they make us laugh? Will they make us cry? Will they tell us when to live? Will they tell us when to die? Yeah, I know we come a long way. We're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? 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 Oh yeah. Come on. Oh. Where do the children play? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Where did the children play? Little acoustic version of Big Mountains song. Well, we recorded that in 1995. And thank you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Big Mountain Dub Club episode. I'm using this camera right here, right here. Oh, okay, nice. All right. Episode 5. We got a great show for you today. We're gonna do things a little bit out of order, just because of how late it is in Japan. We got the Pikkal coming on from King Jam. But listen, I want to say a couple things. I am so excited that we are now on E2 on air. We are part of that radio family. So now you're going to be able to catch us audio on E2 like a good old radio station. But we are also going to be streaming live like we are right now. So thank you, E2 on air. We are so happy to be part of your family. And we got my brethren right here, Mr. Pikkal from King Jam, the unlimited sound from Japan. I know it's late over there, my brother. Thank you for staying awake for us.
Yeah, it's over midnight in Japan, but I wake up good because I'm at the Big Mountain Dub Club now, so that's why I must wake up good enough. See?
I read that's the spirit.
Yeah.
That's the spirit, man.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for offering me again. So today is what? Big Mountain Dub Club episode 5, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
History.
We're making history, man. We got an amazing show. Actually, I never even got to that. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Quino. I'm the lead vocalist of Big Mountain. But we're going to be showing you an interview that I did with Third World a couple days ago. Also got my dear sister, Lynn Copeland. She's going to be my official co-host. But we had to change things around today because we want to get straight to my brethren, Pikkal. It's a big day, of course. We are all in mourning, feeling sad about the loss of Toots Hibbert, and I think that's kind of one of the big stories of this week. My brethren, do you have any memories? Did you get to see Toots live?
Yeah. I forgot which year, but I definitely I saw. You hear me good?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I saw his live, and of course, I voiced couple Toots Dubplate. So I met them direct. I met him directly, you know.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah, he was. I mean, as you know, there was nobody like Toots, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later with Third World, and of course, probably my sister and Lynn. But we also lost another legend quite recently, and I know he's your good brethren, Mr. Pat Anthony, another great Jamaican singer.
So I used to live in Brooklyn. So then when I started living Brooklyn, New York, so I used to go to Edo Robinson studio. Edo Robinson is one of legendary Jamaican reggae singers. Then
That's right.
Pat Anthony had a space inside of his studio. So then he has his own studio in Edo Robinson studio that time. Okay. So then when I started living in New York City, Pat Anthony used to take care of me good. Like Sanchez, when Sanchez came to New York, Pat Anthony called me right away. Yo, Pikkal, Sanchez is in town. Yeah, something like that. So
that was your tight brethren.
Yeah, tight. So then after the 3 or 4 years gone, he moved back to Jamaica. So then I met him again.
Irie.
So then he make a lot of link of Jamaican artists to me. So that's why I still can't believe that. I want to say rest in peace for my brethren, Pat Anthony. So then legendary artist of Toots, you know, so.
Hey, I'm sorry for your loss, my brethren, but those are beautiful memories, and thank you for sharing those memories, man. You know, and that's what it's built upon. That's what the Big Mountain Dub Club is about, is trying to preserve memories for, you know, our future. That we're hoping is going to be an archive, these conversations that we're having. But listen, let's get to the music. I know it's late in Japan. Want to thank all of brethren and sistren in Japan for your continued support. And here's your man, Pikkal, King Jam. Take it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, big up Big Mountain, Dub Club, and a Quino from Big Mountain. So every brethren who is around you, and then everybody who is watching Zoom Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, whichever. See? So we just talked about Padre Anthony. So Padre Anthony passed away, unfortunately. I would like to say rest in peace for him.
Big up Pad.
My dub plate never die. My Padre Anthony dub plate never die. So I want to start with Padre Anthony dub plate like this.
Now where did all those jump and tin pan, out and sound boys go? And where is all that good rubber dub dance all music that we know? I wanna know right now.
I wanna say rest in peace of Padre Anthony, my brother.
Play it right now. The Unlimited Sound Man. No Pikkal and Pitch, no worry.
He's one of the legendary reggae artists.
I wanna come for talk, come for sing and kill.
Start Padre Anthony.
King Jam Sound. Them shoulda know you have the. Them shoulda know you have the. Them shoulda know you have the title.
You see King Jam?
Said that we rule, and now we have the
title.
Son boy, you a fool, and now you know have no title.
Padre Anthony, tell him.
King Jam Sound, you have the title. The
title.
And Mr. Pikkal have the title. The title. And Mr. Pitch, you have the title. The title. And Padre Anthony.
Me brother Padre Anthony.
The title. And Michael P, you have the title. The title. Around the mic, me no fumble. I fumble. I watch a sound boy.
Padre Anthony, sing chorus again. Sing part of the chorus part again.
A nigga, King Jam Sound, you a sample. A sample, you come to set another sample.
Hold on.
Said that you rule, and now you.
I want to play one more artist who passed away. His name is Barry Brown. Oh yes, Barry Brown.
Everything I try, say I've got to get you, King Jam.
Barry Brown.
About it. And if I try to do good, my bitch, it up it in right.
Big up Big Mountain, tell the word.
Son boy, you're not so lucky. Son boy, you're not so lucky.
I want to play some classic artists tonight. Because Big Mountain episode 5.
King Jam Sound, boy.
Queen Shade.
Don't cry, and little sound boy, oh why? King Jam Sound killing. We are gonna kill some.
It's called the Big Mountain Dub Club. I can't play 45 tonight.
Jump and sound boy, oh why? King Jam and sound killer. You make me kill them now.
Combination.
Jam I go kill them with it.
Run, la ta 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 bram bram.
As you want a Mikey Rooney Steel Tea. Rising sun. Brings me rising gun. Brooklyn, please by all means.
I do say Bounty Killer. Me want to see fire emoji right now.
From your side, King Jam, your should and run. No wait till we back with no bar we gun. And we pop out, we gun well heaper. Gonna go run X amount of people life a good.
Bounty Killer away yourself.
Pop a shot. Remember me telling her just that, yeah. Man number so much magnum and come make we split. So if we gun them come back well then. King Jam we kill 100 pounds.
I'm 42 years old. This is where I'm coming from. This is where me coming from.
And so me go so then show me on no honor all original the yachted gunman with King Jam sing.
Show me on no still.
If you no ready fi go take the punk me you fi real yeah. Show me on no honor all original.
Big up everybody who is watching YouTube live, Zoom live.
Show me on no still.
I do respect the Buju Bantango song.
All the sound called King Jam sound.
Abuju.
Miss a 9, send to me some 45, and 16 on Magnum. Now live two.
Bombard.
King Jam sound a push Bible, and anything test me. We'll lose them life. Oh, them is
yeah, Quino said I play for 10 or 15 minutes.
Now live two right. King Jam sound a good Bible, and you young
Yeah, man, I used to live in New York, Buju.
They are 15 control of all house and serve. The one Mac 11 brown out of papi. 38 I carry 5.
I play for about 10 minutes, you know. See? When I come to Big Mountain Dub Club, I had to play real classic reggae music where I'm coming from, you know. See? You see the next tune right now? It's a real classic song now.
King Jam will never die. Kill all of them and come back alone. Cause you're the best.
Think on the first cut. Don't play.
We're gonna kill you tonight, sound boy. We're gonna crush you when your peace are torn.
Don't kill you physically. Kill you by music.
You're a fool idiot sound. And wrap you up and kill.
Walla, 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 walla.
Sound boy, King Jam is gonna teach you a lesson.
Walla, no.
The first cut is the deepest. Now you know.
Yo.
King Jam is the greatest.
Yeah, man, that's right.
So you know. Our first up is the deadliest.
You see the next artist, my new favorite to sing, Romain Bago.
King Jam, listen, right I know this is a serious time, son boy I go die. Hey King Jam, I kill son boy tonight.
Big Mountain Dub Club, I can't play 45.
Oh, hey King Jam, kill them when rain or fall. Them no system we no care. We kill them all when sun.
Walla, walla, walla.
Oh, hey son boy, you know see it, you know see a King Jam.
Quino is my brother.
I'ma kill son boy out of street.
From Adamada.
Oh,
Gracias, amigo.
Get rid of them from nobody know. We born as a killer. Oh yes, the whole world know.
Nobody can't test King Jam, you know why?
Oh, son boy can't defeat. When King Jam lock the streets, them can't.
This is my anthem rhythm, you know. Anthem rhythm, you know. Look at it.
Listen. When your sound don't play like it used to before,
Bomba.
Just give you a coffee and read. So easy. Where your ears to remember the sound that were dogs. King Jam give you a.
Look at this, sing pan chorus part and again, no.
Jam will be killing you when we load up with magazines.
Yeah, one.
Oh,
but let it get on.
Yeah, and your sound, well, father's heart. If you ever want challenge me.
All right, you say next to my DJ, Anthony B.
One thing I can
Do one thing I can say.
King Jam a lead the way. How we murder sound boy every dub plate with
Yeah, man.
my type a night or if a day. One thing I can do, one thing I
Coronavirus can't kill me.
King Jam a lead the way.
Coronavirus can't kill us. You know why?
Why is not a crime?
Anthony B again.
Hurt the heart and them can't hurt the soul. Just in the Almighty
More and more.
King Jam sound no under no devil control. Jah as we guide, I play life role. Hurt the heart and them can't hurt the sound. No boy out there can't take off with crown.
I play a couple more songs. And it takes over Big Mountain and third world, okay?
Before morning, how is a killer? Tell them King Jam is a killer. Yes, and I know so.
Queen, I have a question. Coronavirus has few man. Which are going? Which are going?
Hey, tell them King Jam, oh yes, you're winning right now.
Whoa!
That sound killing right now. We forget the jump, it will be spinning right now. For all them jump and now we killing right now, yeah. Are we chilling right now?
I say coronavirus.
I say we winning.
Few man.
On Thanksgiving right now.
Which are going? Which are going?
Human.
Oh yes, we're winning.
All right, I play couple more song, okay? So that I would like say, rest in peace for Para Anthony. But before we play song tonight, I mean that play tonight, we talked about the Toots. So that I met the Toots. I went to Toots live almost 10 years ago. So then when I met him, I voiced this dub plate. I voiced 2 dub plates, So one of his dub plate is this.
Sing it up, mister.
Yeah, man, I King Jam Unlimited, a big sound that's in a Pikkal.
Hey, what I say, sir, yeah.
Hey, Mickey Rooney, Mr. Watcher, Mr. Global G.
Get your hands in here.
How do you say King Jam say?
Region with the big sound, original toots and the meters, now you fire back.
Yeah. Then you will get.
How do you say King Jam?
No. I say, yeah.
Hey!
I King Jam I play. Don't they ever say, yeah. The number one song.
Big up Hakuna Matata. Ganzi.
Stick it out, sound boy. Hear what I say.
Pata Pata Studio.
Get your hands on the head now.
Kicks same way.
Don't hurt now. How you do what I say now? Do what King Jam says, sound boy. Take out the twin pop sound out the land.
I play for Big Mountain Double Club episode 1. Guess what?
I say yeah. The number one sound I play.
Guess what?
I say yeah now.
Guess what?
The number one sound I play.
One time, episode 1.
Him kill a sound 2 times.
Episode 2.
Kill a sound 3
Episode
times.
3, 4.
Kill a sound 4
Episode
times.
5.
Sound boy, you're gonna die.
Bomba class. All right. Quino, I play last song, right? Because I want to see Big Mountain and the Third World interview thing on a talk show after I play this song, So, all right. That's My Number is my favorite song. One of my favorite Toot songs. I like Monkey Man. I like Bam Bam. But you see the next song right now? This is my number 1 favorite song of Toots Are Metal.
Wow.
Last song.
Live Toots. Toots Hibbert.
This song named Pressure Drop. Rest in peace, Toots. He's talking about life. I want to say rest in peace for Toots once again.
It is true. Oh, yeah. So fine. It is true. Oh, yeah. It is true. Oh, yeah. So fine. I say,
Pressure go, oh pressure drop, a pressure gonna drop on you.
King Jam say pressure gonna drop on you. Pressure gonna
Drop on you.
And when it drop, you gotta say,
Oh my God.
That's right, Toots.
And when pressure drop, oh, we're gonna ball out. King Jam and it come up.
Boy.
Somebody say Pulo. Yeah.
Oh, my Regin. Oh,
Yeah,
my
man.
clots.
I love Big Mountain Double Club,
Wow.
Music is all here. Music is
Because
all
you wipe
there.
me out. I'm drained. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say, man. I hope you have that stuff backed up in like 10 different hard drive, yeah?
I know. So I have a 1 hard drive here. So the one is in my apartment. So the other one is my mother's house. So the other one is my cousin's house. So I have a 3 insurance.
Yes. Please, because that is gold, man. That is platinum. That is amazing dub plates you just played. That's my brethren.
Thank you.
And of course, nobody does it like you, Pikkal.
Respect.
And I know you.
I'm at the Big Mountain Double Club, So that's why I feel like I should play two biggest Toots dub plate from my dub play box.
Right. Can we bring Lynn on right now with Pikkal? Is Lynn ready? Yeah. Wow. Yes, we're gonna try to bring Lynn Copeland. This is the bass player that played. I know you love Hooligans, dub plate.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
this is the inventor of that bass line and many other Big Mountain bass lines,
Okay.
including the one that I played at the intro. I don't know if you got to hear that I played "Time Has Come," Lynn.
Mhm.
Oh, no, I didn't this morning.
And of
Good
course,
morning, everyone.
and it has Lynn's beautiful poetry in the beginning. So if you want to hear this woman, not just her bass playing, but her lovely voice, then listen to Big Mountain. Time Has Come, and of course the song is co-written. But Pikkal, let me introduce to you to my sister Lynn Copeland, DJ Pikkal.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm good. Great to meet you too. How are you today?
What time is there? What time is there?
It's 8:30 a.m.
Oh, okay. It's 12:30 a.m. here.
Oh, okay. A little different, but still a.m.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering. I had to say good morning. I had to say good evening. I had to say good afternoon. So that's why I asked you what time.
Yeah.
On the
Okay, I definitely
Big
say good
Mountain
morning.
Dub Club, it doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter because we're going to hopefully encircle all of the time zones.
Yeah.
Just time is different.
Hmm.
Did you get to listen, Lynn, to the performance that Pikkal just did?
No, I didn't.
Oh wow, he finished
Yeah.
off the set with two dub plates from the great Toots Hibbert and another person that just passed away recently, a good friend of Pikkal, Pat Anthony. So we're also giving tribute to him. But
Oh,
wow,
nice.
yeah. It was a tremendous show. Of course, you'll be able to catch it on Facebook later on. How are you doing, dear?
Doing good this morning. Yeah. It's a
Good,
good
good,
day.
good. Um, Pikkal, my brethren,
Yeah.
thank you again on behalf of Big Mountain and Big Mountain Dub Club for your amazing performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for offering me again. So I definitely will do next episode again.
Oh man, we can't wait for that, brethren. I know your library and your is big and fat, and we want to get it all on the Big Mountain Dub Club. Get some rest, huh?
Yeah. But I keep watching till I get to home.
Love. Okay, my brother. We'll see you soon. One love.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah. Have a great show.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you and I we got to play with Toots quite a bit. Of course, we toured a whole lot with Liba and Melody and Hoped.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah,
words?
it was
Any
really
thoughts?
really sad to hear. I knew he was battling COVID, and of course we all hoped that he would be successful in overcoming it.
Yeah. It really brings everything to home. All the controversy surrounding this virus
Yeah.
and everything. And I hope people take it to heart.
Yeah, and just, take it seriously. Even if you feel like you're immune to it or you and yours can't get it, just be conscious of other people. Have some respect, have some love for others around you, people you may not know, and realize that you can be asymptomatic. You can have it, you can spread it, and you can not have any symptoms. So just be aware of it. If you can't, just have a philosophy of do no harm is what I'm trying to say, so you don't have to accept that it's not a conspiracy and that the government's not doing some experiment or whatever. Just don't do any harm. Whatever you believe about it, just try not to hurt other people.
Wise words from Lynn Copeland. I had to get a little bit of humor in this today. I was trying to find it right now on the New York Times this morning, flipping through the top stories, and it said that Trump was doing some sort of speech, major speech, and sort of him declaring that he's going to protect the U.S. education system from the brainwash that's inflicted by all of the leftists, left-wingers in the U.S. education system. And I immediately thought, he must be talking about Lynn Copeland.
Most definitely.
He found out she's teaching high school.
I'm proud to be one of those people. No. Well, since I'm teaching arts, I can't inflict my leftist political views upon the delicate youth. But I find my ways. Art is a language. It's communication. So I find my ways.
Yes.
It's a covert operation.
I'm sure your projects get very interesting.
But I mean, he's alluded to that before, even with wanting to change the curriculum with how slavery is taught, how other things are taught, because he feels like white America is not being portrayed in a good light, and that students are being taught to hate Caucasians, and that this is adding to racial divisiveness the way American history is taught. Well, American history has caused the division in the country. Mm-hmm. We have been a divided country, and if you don't know the history of the country, then you won't understand where we are now. You won't understand why people are protesting. You won't understand why people are upset. And even like I was having a conversation with my cousin yesterday, and she was speaking about Trump's cabinet and the people he surrounds himself with. And just a little minor thing, like if you look at the people around him, and if you notice that all the women have blonde hair.
Weird stuff like that, huh?
It's a little thing, but where else have we seen all the women with blonde hair?
It's we don't it's like I don't know how Republicans, like when they go to the conventions, you know what I mean, and they turn around and they look at everybody around them and they realize that it's just nothing but white people except for a little sprinkle of color. Yeah. Very, very hard to find in a sea of white faces, right? And that's what's happening right now. Is we're turning into two camps, right? Those who get it, this multicultural, multi-gender, multi-religious, multicolor group of people, and then you have these angry, resentful white folks on the other side.
Yeah. Well, that sprinkling of color is what makes them feel okay. It's like, oh, we've got two black people, so we're not racist. And, we're diverse because there's one of them over there and there's one over there. So we're diverse.
Well, we could go on and on. I was going to bring on the fact that because I thought, well, this whole thing about education, and then we know like Jim Crow was such a big lie, right? And just trying to make people think something that never existed. And San Diego still had Robert E. Lee Elementary School up until just a few years ago.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I mean, there are a lot of Confederate monuments, other than statues. The school names, the statues, the street names, they're all over the place.
Yeah, we have to. There's no way we can have that stuff around and think that any of us are gonna sleep good at night. I mean, that's just such. It's such an offense, so disrespectful to people of color. You know.
Yeah. But I mean, the way the educational system has been, most of us don't pay any attention to it, because we're so used to, for lack of being able to put it a better way, we're so used to Caucasians being glorified, whether they were worthy of that glorification or not. So when you see that, it's just like, oh, it's another one of them. And you keep going with your life,
Hey, do you remember the poem in front of Things to Come?
Time to come.
Time has come.
Time has come. Oh, that's bad. We're both messing it up.
Has come. Hello.
I remember I was talking about shattering your reality.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what you're seeing, create a new one. I don't remember it word for word.
No. You said you are free to destroy it.
Yeah. Tear it up.
Well, we got to destroy stuff like that, man. We can't have any. There's no compromise. There's no room for this, especially the Civil War emblematic stuff. But I mean, I think every community is going to take it upon its own. It's like, what do they want to do with all of these vestiges of times past that have symbolized so many ugly things? But especially in places like that we have a little bit more influence. I know the South is tough, but that's why we have to be aware of these things, right? Like John Marquez, they were just having the same issue with a school, Robert E. Lee High School in Baytown, Texas, and so it's everywhere. It's gonna be a real worldwide, that protracted campaign type of thing that we all have to be committed to.
Yeah. And I think time has come, tell the truth to the children, because we haven't been,
Oh,
and as the younger generations get the truth, just because of where they are now mentally, they're going to start tearing down the veil and the wall and just be like, okay, y'all have done this crap long enough. We're going to get rid of it in our lives. It's like they're not going to accept the penance for the sins of their fathers. It's just like, we didn't do it. You're not going to put that crap on us. We're going to break the chains, which is beautiful.
Coming up is an interview with Third World.
Nice. Beautiful.
Any words, any memories you want to share about our days with them?
Oh, man. Other than being fascinated and being in awe, just of the musicianship. I was actually watching one of their live concerts on YouTube not too long ago with Bunny Ruggs, and how they just like seamlessly would go from reggae to R&B to jazz, but it all still felt like reggae. I've seen other groups or other bands try to do that, but the feeling, would actually change with them. It still felt the same. I mean, you didn't lose the reggae feel, but you didn't hear the reggae. Like when they went to R&B, you heard R&B. You didn't hear reggae, but you still felt reggae.
I knew you were going to get it.
Yeah.
Hey, you're so right. I mean, you coined it perfectly. There was always this Jamaican mold around everything they played, right? But And that's what made it difficult. So, kind of like what we hear when you hear Africans play salsa or R&B or hip hop, right? You know, it's got, you know, it's all there and you're hearing it, but you're going, but I'm hearing a whole lot of other things too, right?
Yeah. It's the feel, you know, and just the musicianship is just amazing. And, you know, Cat Coore is ridiculous. His ability just to jump from one instrument to another and just be a virtuoso on all of them, you know?
You know, he played the harmonica on all of those recordings in Third World.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was one of his instruments too, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no,
Not at all.
Superman. Only kryptonite can bring that man down.
Yeah.
And then the jury would still be out.
Yeah. And then he cooks too. Have you seen any of his cooking shows?
Oh God! Don't tell me. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! What are we gonna do with him? No, but now I know what I'm gonna do on Sunday mornings when I should be resting, and I get up all freaked out because you know what? This show is sort of like, I know it's gonna be a long show, but I said, what am I gonna do, man? But this show kind of marks a sort of okay, I woke up this morning actually relaxed.
Nice.
Which the last 3 Fridays have been this frantic, crazy, mad rush. But no, this was good, you know. And well, on top of, you know, Third World being amazing musicians, they're also amazing human beings. And, you know, the conversation that I had with them just shows how deep they are and how fortunate we are to have those examples in reggae music, right? I mean, those people that have held it together, and because it's not easy. We know that this business is madness and can be so taxing on people, and especially people of color, because we have all the other stress upon us, you know, like racism and just this institutional roadblocks in one place or another, and it's just like, you know, I'm just so glad that they're still with us, and this is a real transitional time, and I'm glad to be sharing it with you, Lynn. Thank you. Oh, and then we got Tanya Stevens next week.
Yay! Oh, I'm glad to be sharing it with you, love. I mean, you know, we have come through some things ourselves, so yeah, it's been a long time.
It has.
Since Shiloh, back in the day, pre-Big Mountain years, you know.
Listen, I as you can see, I keep on putting more bass traps in here. Pretty soon we're gonna be ready for drums.
Okay. Cool.
And we gotta attack Cimarron once and for all. This is you know, and I think it would be a great song to create a, you know, just sort of that anti-incarceration, just because the song talks about that, and we need to be talking about that as well, but the incarceration of our young people of color.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anytime, I'm ready.
Okay, can you join me next week?
Yeah, I can. Most definitely. And I'll be here. I won't be on CP time. Love you much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you listen to first 3 Big Mountain albums, you hear this woman and everything that she does, and just all the incredible music that we did together, and the journey continues. Lynn Copeland, my darling, thank you so much for joining me. See you next week.
You are welcome. See you next week. Have a blessed one, babe.
All righty, here we go, folks. My interview with Third World, Cat Coore and Richard Daley. Enjoy. All right, it is my great honor to have on the Big Mountain Dub Club right now 2 of my greatest heroes, members of the legendary band Third World. 9 Grammy nominations and crossover hits such as Now That We Found Love, Tried Ya Love, and of course, the reggae classic that I play at every gig that I have. 96 degrees in the shade. I want to welcome Richard Daley and Cat Coore to the Big Mountain Dub Club. Thank you guys for making this time.
Blessed love.
Yeah, man. Great Quino. Great to be with you.
I know that it's been a very emotional week. I can't imagine how Jamaica's doing right about now, Cat. Any words about the loss of the great Toots Hibbert?
Yeah, man. Well, yes, of course. Jamaica's the love has been outpouring for Toots, and the vibration down here was very, very sad. Saturday and Sunday particularly was extremely sad, and people just find it hard to believe that Toots is gone, just from the simple reason of how much energy he brought in his whole life, how much energy he brought to the stage, how much energy he brought to the people that knew him, how much energy he brought to all of us who are fans, as well as us who knew him over a period of time, I personally knew Toots from when I was 13. That's the first time I ever played with Toots.
Wow.
In a circle. That's my first meeting with Toots. I was 13 years old, And I've always been very close to him through the years, and that was something for me to reflect on and have even an introspection, even I look within myself over all those years and say, boy, this is really something else for you to have really come this far in Jamaican music. It's very special, So God bless him, and as I say, it's almost like a lesson to me. It's almost like it's a voice to tell me to give thanks for all the great times I've had as a Jamaican musician, and playing all the great gigs, with guys like you and Reggae on the River and all those places, and yeah, for real.
I can imagine that probably, Richard, like, do you remember a time when before Toots, or do you remember Toots becoming a big artist, or was he just always there?
Yeah, my first experience with him was I was playing in a pickup band, and we were supposed to play some gig, and we was rehearsing with him at a school named St. George's in the auditorium, which is next door to Sabina Park, a great cricket ground. And during the rehearsal, I picked up on this man was not rehearsing, he's performing. Every time he comes to the table, he performs, he doesn't rehearse, people are applauding at the end of every song. I said, but this is a rehearsal, but the man was that energetic, engaging, that, his experience. And I was fortunate through the years, he has appeared with Third World in many different occasions. He's a fixed icon when it comes to Third World and the Friends, a concert in Jamaica annually. And Toots is always there, up to the last one, which is less than 2 years ago. And if we had it this year again, I'm quite certain he'd be there in attendance performing. I had the opportunity to accompany him in a band I was playing with named Tomorrow's Children. And going to a place called Madison Square Garden, which is my first foreign gig, which is mind-blowing.
Oh, wow.
But all good. Remember Toots, when I hear the songs since his passing, I never realized he had so many hits, and these songs were like planted in Jamaica from the roots. We'll never forget him, Toots Hibbert.
And the interesting thing about Toots is that he was before the brand reggae, right? So he never found it important to take on sort of the superficial aspects of reggae, the dreads, the red, gold, and green type of thing. I remember when I cut my dreads in 1995, it was like sacrilegious. My record company was like, well, we don't even need you anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about? I just cut my dreads. I'm still a man, you know. He was somehow prior to that. What am I trying to say about Toots and sort of being before that whole reggae brand?
We know that kind of man as a Naya man. You understand?
Yeah.
Naya man is all left. Them don't necessarily have dread, but them Rasta same way. As Margaret here to say you don't have to dread to be a Rasta.
Yeah, Rasta. The truth.
And Toots, really in his latter life, he embraced a lot of the red, green, and gold. Because I was even looking back at some pictures, and he had some incredible outfits with the red, green, and gold. And, you know, it's just one of these characters that is just special. You know, there's no other mold made like Toots. You know, God broke the mold when he made him. So, you know, I wouldn't look for anything normal to come out of Toots. Like he's just a normal, another dreadlock brother, you know?
Right.
He was a very special individual, you know?
As you said, prior to reggae, Quino, let it be known that he's the one who named the format of the music reggae.
So interesting.
Yes, he coined the phrase because he was in the studio writing a song, and the title, the subject of the song was about a girl who's a stregge. But he didn't want to use the word stregge. So he called it reggae, and it just hooked.
That's so interesting. How was it to see bands like Toots and Bob and Jimmy start to tour and take reggae music outside of Jamaica?
It was very inspiring personally to me because right now, you know, when I look back and I think of, you know, myself leaving high school, you know, very early in the 70s, you know, I went to a school in Kingston that had a very, very great mixture of people, and a lot of Americans went to that school. And I happened to be very fortunate in a way because I got teased a lot to say, well, I went to the uptown school. But it was an uptown school, definitely. But the thing about it was that there were people that went to that school that turned me on to Jimi Hendrix, turned me on to Pink Floyd, turned me on to Grand Funk Railroad. You know, and as a kid growing up in Jamaica at that time, right now, being so heavily influenced by Rocksteady and being so heavily influenced by what became reggae. Well, ska first, Rocksteady, and what became reggae, you know. That was my music. That was from my home. That was, for me, I didn't need to jump on a bandwagon to get to know those songs. Those songs came back into my yard by my older brothers, who went and bought 45s from Aquarius record shop and brought them home. And so I got acquainted with my own music very early. So being able to listen to Jimmy and Sly and Family Stone and then a little later on Santana and stuff, it really gave me a really good vibration to sort of be inspired to blend, you know, the music with reggae. And that's where I was coming from, you know. And I guess Ibu and Richie and other members of Third World shared that same vision in our own different ways, you know. So you might have had a song like Cross Reference, which was directly like almost a funk song, you know, but it had a little reggae percussion thing going on in it. Or you may have had a song like I've Got to Get Along, which was directly a ballad, which we were very influenced by because, you know, we sang all the great ballads. We sang all the Delphonics. We sang all the Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. We sang all those songs as kids, you know, in the bands that we were in. We sang those songs. So, having given the opportunity to do our own record, you know, which is the Green Album, Third World, I distinctly remember when we were in the studio at Hammersmith that we did that. We used the blendings that we had growing up in the music business and all the impressions that we had got. You know, no pun intended, but Curtis Mayfield and Impressions was also a big influence on all of us from Jamaica. So we took records that we heard and inspired us because we played those hit records at dance parties and stuff like that. And we were good at it too. We played them really well. And that inspired us to take our music that we knew from Jamaica, the Bob, the Toots, the Jimmy Cliff, Burning Spear, and that inspired us to take that music and blend it in with where our vision was. So all those spices that you're talking about that you hear in each different song, it's coming from all the different aspects of what we grew up with, So that's kind of how, for me, I'm sure Richard has a slightly different take on it, but for me, that would be how I would put it, you know what I mean?
Hey, Quino.
Yeah.
In the early days growing up, a Jamaican radio station would play any song. There was no format. There was no genre fixed in any one radio program. So you could hear Fox Domino followed by Charlie Pride right afterwards, followed by Toots. Anything could be played on the same radio program. So we grew up with all this influence, So our first two albums is what we grew up on. All the different influence. James Brown was a big icon to us.
Right.
All these artists came to Jamaica and performed during their time, and we saw them all. So it's our influence.
Coming out of Jamaica, there wasn't a whole lot of bands. I remember Chalice, and I was trying to remember, some other actual bands, but most of what was going on with that sort of format, the band sort of format, was going on in England, right? Bands like Black Slate and Steel Pulse and Aswad. What was that like? Were you guys feeding off each other? Was there some friendly competition going on between those groups?
Yeah, in the early days, yes, it was a competitive situation. But one of the things that you have to understand is that groups like Third World, we were the ones who really inspired Aswad and Steel Pulse. Because when we went to them, it would have been very early for those guys. Those guys would have really been bands as such yet,
Right.
Clearly there was a direction. There was a direction there, but there wouldn't have been bands yet. And
got it.
I would say that Byron Lee and the Dragonaires, Tomorrow's Children, bands like that, those bands were heavy influenced on like Inner Circle. When I first joined Inner Circle, I was very young, and we were like a trailblazer, I would say. But at the same time, Richie was in a band like Tomorrow's Children, and they were trailblazers too in their own right. And I don't know, at some point, I think it became more like three-piece singing groups like Culture, Burning Spear, Diamonds.
Right.
And
right.
A little bit away from the whole band structure. And it sort of left Inner Circle and Third World with the two prominent positions as a fully, comprehensive band then put it away.
Right.
We had a lead singer, we had guitar players who played solos, in the case of Inner Circle, they had a great saxophone player named Douglas Guthrie, and we did different things. We were really into performing. We really saw ourselves as performers. And we kind of really brought that, through things like Exploitations. It was an experimental project for us to try and incorporate, drama with the reggae music. And we really established this kind of thing whereby we were performers. And that really set us aside from just being, like Peter Tosh out in front with a great band behind him, or Bob and the Wailers, which was a transformation from Bob, Peter and Bonnie to Bob the I3s and the great band that we know it with Al Anderson and Wire, and all of them.
Junior,
guys, So it's one of these things that I am very sorry that Chalice didn't really stick together and go on. Or Blood Fire Posse, I think both of them would have been.
Paul Blake, yeah, man, that was a great band.
Yeah. But I'm very glad that he stuck it out, and I'm very proud that Inner Circle stuck it out too. yeah, there's been some kind of competition in the early days, but to be honest with you, we're best of friends and we're very close together right now, and there's nothing like that, you know. So I mean, we're just very happy to have these good seats. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Richard?
It was all friendly rivalry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which brought out the best of all of us.
Now
we did it.
You guys toured with Bob, right? That was like one of your first tours to Europe, or am I getting that right?
Close, yes. We did Manchester, Birmingham, and London.
Okay. At what configuration?
That is one of Bob Marley's infamous concerts at the Lyceum.
Okay.
That's when he opened to the world, and the world discovered, say yes, a force is coming.
So this was after Peter and Bunny had left the band.
Yes.
Yeah. Right after, because that album would have been Natty Dread, which is what came after Burning. And Burning still had that lineup. Burning still had Bunny and Peter and and Wyatt, Tiley and Fams.
Right.
But once it went to Natty Dread, then Al Anderson came in, the I3s came in, Bob and Peter and Bunny sort of,
when it did their
thing. Careers.
How did by the time I started doing the Sunsplash tours with Tony Johnson, everybody was playing reggae during the song, right? But it sounded like everybody was trying to sound like Third World during the intros and the breaks and the transitions. Desi Jones was sort of, I always kind of call him the instigator, because he would play, he picked everything up the tempo wise, and it encouraged us, or it kind of forced us to have to, because everybody was trying to make everybody dance, right? It was like, let's keep people happy and on their feet. But I do know that there was that, every single band, by the time 1994 came around, by the time I was really exposed, actually it was 1992 when we first did our first tour with Sunsplash, but everybody was very comfortable with jazz, and it's like the musicians had that etiquette that you had to know your instrument, and the breaks were really polished and had that jazz R&B element to it. When did that all come into reggae? I mean, I know that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you guys were the first ones to do that, right? I mean, it all kind of sprung out of your experimentation. I would assume so. Or, I know there's a guy named Ernest Wrangling. Where does he fall into all of this?
The top boy,
he's the one who produced that big hit with Millie Small.
My boy Lollipop.
Right. So he's like almost, you call the first generation of popular musician.
Okay.
But he was an incredible jazz player and otherwise soloist extraordinary.
Amazing. I got to catch him twice in Peter Tosh concerts.
You can call him the Godfather. Kiss his ring, or his guitar pick in this case.
Wow.
It goes back to your question earlier on, Quino, whereby you have to understand that a lot of those things you're talking about came out of those influences from Carlos and from Jimmy and from the stuff that we were hearing. A lot of those songs had some wicked intros and stuff. And look at like Black Magic Woman. I mean, when I heard that first, I had never heard a group play an intro long like that, or Pink Floyd, That Side of the Moon.
It's just when you say that right now, yeah. Go ahead, I'll catch up.
And Concrete Jungle really, really inspired us. And Third World used to do a great version of that.
Oh my God.
And I really believe that that song inspired the introduction to Sata Masagana, which is an absolute stamp of Third World.
Hey, don't leave out war, slipping into darkness, big.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's how I got interested in playing the harmonica, was because of the war,
Lee Oscar.
Yes. I heard that.
When I met Stevie Wonder. When I met Stevie Wonder, I decided to put the harmonica down, my brother.
Was that you that played the harp on all those records?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I wondered that. That was going to be one of my questions.
Place, cool meditation. Yeah, man.
Now that we have like reggae revival or the roots revival movement going on, which I know Captain Shai has been really involved in helping that along. Every one of these bands has an amazing guitarist, has an amazing keyboardist. All of these young Jamaican musicians, obviously there is now a tradition of musicianship in Jamaica that I see every time a Jamaican band comes out of Jamaica nowadays, right? Just tremendous musicians. But I know that back in the 70s, everybody was trying to figure out how to get these sounds going, yeah?
Yeah, man, that's Edna Manley College. They're mostly responsible for all those tremendous musicians, and also the North Coast musicians that had to ply their wares on the North Coast. People like Ruption, Taddy B. Those boys played on the North Coast, and they had to play those songs that the Americans who came down knew those songs, that played them good. So they had to be proficient, and all of them learned to read, all of them learned theory, and a majority of them went to Edna Manley College, and I take my hat off to Edna Manley College. And Edna Manley College has done great work for Jamaica's music and for drama and for literacy and for art. It's just been a tremendous force. And the nice thing about it too, it has stood up through all different changes of government, has never changed the direction of that college. It's always stayed right what it is, and it has a magic about it. It churns out a lot of musicians every year. My two sons went there. Ibu's son went there. Ibu was like second director there for many years. Ibu has a lot of work put into that college. And that for me is where that's the answer to your question you just asked a little while ago. About nowadays when you see all these bands come out, how good they are, they're coming out at Edna Manley College. If they're not coming out to Edna Manley, they're coming out to some private lessons, or maybe they were in Canada and they came back home and they had the chance to study music there. But you're correct, they're all very proficient musicians. They're all very good musicians. And they just take that and adapt it to the reggae sound, the now sound and stuff. That's why everybody's band is so wicked. If you hear Queen Africa's band, wicked. If you hear Beenie Man band, wicked. Don't mention Chronic's band, murder.
Forget it.
Damian Marley band.
Protege.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
The incredible thing about it though, Quino, is that years before, a musician had to find a way to Berkeley or one of those colleges which they could not afford. So when the school came along and lift up their program to popular music, because in the earlier days the big focus would be on the classical music.
Right.
So after a while, when Ibu left Third World and went there as one of the directors, popular music became like one of the most important ingredients. So reggae was being played at the college. In the early days, they might have done it, but there's no great focus on it. So we have to give them props to that, that you don't have to go abroad to be an accomplished musician.
That's beautiful. What year was that school inducted? What are we talking about?
It's been around for a while. Cat, would you say that in the early
It
60s?
could be like a 69, 70 thing. But
Okay.
I think 72 after Michael, man, they got
It's earlier than that, you know, 'cause I remember Ruggs went there to learn art, you know, painting. There was no music faculty at the time. But that's where
Yeah,
he
that
learned
was
his painting
Jamaica's School of
skills.
Art. That was
Yeah.
Jamaica's School of Art. But
Is
it
it turned
morphed
into
into
the
Edna
is it
College.
turned into the Edna Manley?
Yeah, it morphed into Edna Man College a few years after that.
Wow.
So I would say probably 71, 72, I would say would be the actual Edna Manley College thing. Because I remember when Third World was very young, maybe in our second year, that would be 1974, we performed at the amphitheater at that college. And we were one of the first bands to really perform at that college amphitheater. I mean, that was a gas. I mean, the students went nuts. They couldn't believe what was going on because, as Richie said, they would have been a little bit more stringent in terms of classical music and that kind of thing. So when the students realized that a band like us was coming to play there, you know, and we performed there, it was like it was something special. And yeah, and the music, what's the word I'm looking for? The music section of the college, the music school,
The department.
Yeah, the music department really took off. I would say, you know, sometime shortly after that, and as Richie said, kids who couldn't get a chance to go to Berkeley or to go to New York, NYU, or to go, you know, who just never had the resources to do that, but had the talent, they were given a chance through that school. And the majority of them took full advantage of it, because full advantage of it. That's why there's so many good cats around, man.
Man, it blows me away. Every time I see a new band and I recognize that I don't know anybody in the band. and they are just such polished musicians. Now, you mentioned, Kat, about it's a blessing that school survived different governments and things like that. And it makes me think about what we're going through right in the United States, which I'm sure, we're looking at it. We're looking at a time now where things are so politically polarized that we wonder if our institutions are going to survive a certain government, right? Because of a government's agenda. We see that just yesterday, President Trump, and I don't want to deal with politics too much, but it was just interesting how yesterday President Trump comes to California and talks to Californians about all the fires going on. At the same time, he's rolling back all of these environmental regulations and, just works that were going on during previous administrations to try to preserve our planet, right? And can this type of stuff ever happen in Jamaica? Are the parties that polarized that they would get so ignorant and vindictive about trying to just undo something that a previous administration did based on the fact that it was that administration that did it and they were their enemies?
There has been a little of that, but no. My answer to you is no. I think we have become quite mature, and we had an election recently, and the party that won very handsomely, and I don't think that there's any boo-hoo or cry baby thing happening on the other side, and I don't believe that the party that won is going to roll back any of the things that other parties may have done before. So I think we have become quite mature where that is concerned. It's not like, unfortunately in America, the president built an agenda and saying that he's going to roll back poor people's health care, Stuff like that, I don't think you're going to see that. Not only in Jamaica, I don't think in the Caribbean, and Richie can bear me out on that. I think the Caribbean governments of recent times have really become quite mature how they do things. And governments have changed, Look at Barbados. Mia Mottley, she won every single seat in the House. She had to appoint an opposition. There was none. She won every seat.
Wow.
And and she didn't make it her, her first, 100 days to roll back this and roll back that and roll back what the people had done before. No, she carried on the good policies and whatever she felt was a change was needed. She could put that into action or whatever. But to answer your question, I think no. I think we have become mature now, and I don't think we're gonna find a lot of rolling back. But you will find some rolling back here and there, but not in critical areas where, I mean, like climate change in America. That's a critical area. I mean,
Oh man.
you guys can see. Look at the hurricane that's licking New Orleans right now. Look at the wildfires in California. It's like it's bizarre.
Strange.
One of the things that is significant, Quino, that I think all over, not just America, but all over, we need younger people governing the country. Some of these old people, the old ideas are stagnant.
Oh gosh, I was just gonna ask you guys. Oh, you know what? Now goes for the goofy questions, right there. I'm glad we got just this nice conversational part of the interview passed because, I wanted to ask a couple questions like 96 Degrees. Do you guys remember anything about writing the song, about recording the song? Any stories to tell?
Everything. I remember everything.
Really?
I remember being inside a room. I remember being in a rehearsal room called Ludix. And that had no windows, my friend, and no air conditioning. And this was in halfway between Kingston. And
in the summertime. In the summertime.
In the summertime. And for some reason, we were able to put up with it. I don't know if we can answer that question. I don't know where we got the strength from, but with some metal patties and some cold juice, we made it through. And, one time I was sitting by this electric piano playing, and there was water dripping off the roof on me. And the vibration just came to me, 96 degrees in the shade. Because totally in the shade, there are no windows. And then, in those days, if you have an idea, the band comes and helps you to build that idea. That is what was so special about Third World, And when people ask me about that song and stuff, I never try to take, as I say in the police movies, take color, What I try to do is to express it as best I remember it, because that's a real team effort, Especially when we wrote the lyrics for it. It's like I wrote a verse, Ibu wrote a verse, and Bonnie wrote a verse. But I think that the idea of taking that, just that 96 degrees in the shade, and turning it into a synopsis of Paul Vogel's, the rebellion and his demise, I think was a special element that made that song really great. Because the song is actually called 1865. 96 degrees in the shade. 96 degrees in the shade is in parentheses. If you look at the original album.
Right. I forget that.
Album is called
96 Degrees. Wow.
Yeah, but that was how we did things in those days. And you had some special songs. Like Cool Meditation was all about the boogie. One Cold Vibe Couldn't Spoil the Boogie was all about
yeah, man.
The African Woman was all about rugs. We had individual efforts, but it was so special for me to remember, or for me to remember right now, that majority of great third world song efforts came from the team. Human Marketplace, songs like that.
Amazing.
Jack Glory, Tribal War. These are songs coming from the team, not coming from individuals, which I think is special,
Absolutely. Richard? Anything to
add? Yes,
I
could only repeat what he said. So accurate.
Ah, it's beautiful. And it's such an interesting thing about Third World. Now, did Bunny ever resent the fact that everybody was singing in these songs? You know what I mean? It was just like, I mean, everybody was such accomplished vocalists. I remember that when I shared vocals with you know, my brother, I would share vocals a lot with my brother, but we never had. I mean, it was part of being in third world. You had to be a lead singer, or what was it? I mean, it's just like when you hear these songs that have 2, 3 vocalists, sometimes 4 vocalists. I think going on at the same time. That's so unique. I don't think there's ever been a reggae band or any other band in the history of contemporary pop music that has had that sort of format going on.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, when Bonnie came into the band still, and Rich can remember this, this was par for the course when Ruggs came in. You know what I mean? This was the going thing. I mean, we figured we were like the Delphonics or the old days or something that could also play. You know what I mean? That's how we vision ourselves. So when Ruggs came into the group, it wasn't his business about he's going to take all the vocals and sing everything. It was par for the course. We were already doing that.
Remember, he came in as a guitarist as well to the cat, eh?
Really?
Yeah, he was playing rhythm guitar. Yeah. Because the format of the band is, we were not going to have a lead singer out front per se and a backing band. That was not the concept. You know?
Yeah.
The rest of us are primarily instrumentalists first. Like, you know, we played guitars and we played drums and we played keyboard. That was our primary instrument. You know, a vocalist was something secondary to each person's instrument where the band was concerned. And when Bonnie came into the band, he came in and saw everybody singing. Not everybody, but the 3 C's. You know, Coore, and him became Clark. But it was never a band that was supposed to be like backing up a singer. It was not into the backing band thing.
I love it. Well, you know, and I assumed that was going on. I mean, you know, now I get to ask you guys years later that...
yeah, and it's cool with you and your brothers too. I've always considered you guys a really cool group too, you know? Kind of reminds me of just a California version of Third World, you know? It's really cool.
I'm not gonna touch that statement. I'm giggling inside, but thank you, bro. Thank you, man. We're starting to reach a period now where that foundation generation, you know, is moving on to the next journey. What does it feel like being part of this foundation generation of people that brought reggae music? Because I am a wholeheartedly believer that reggae music has contributed much more than what the media or this world is really ready to accept or give Jamaican culture. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's not reggae, right? It's Jamaican culture, because what you guys handed to me was a philosophy. And I break it down always like this. Peace and love, but don't fuck with me type of vibe, right? We are here to build bridges. We are here to reach back and try to find why we feel we have holes in our soul because of colonialism and slavery and things like that. We want to find loving ways for us to move on with humanity, but I'm a proud man. I got a strong backbone, and one thing that Jamaicans taught me was to know your shit, read your books, prepare yourself, be educated, be well prepared for whatever, just to be able to give wisdom. When somebody says, what do you got to say? You have to represent yourself as a reggae artist, as somebody that really has that intellectual, artistic blend that can only come from Jamaica. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
I thank you so much, Quino. Your remarks almost brought me to tears, man. I mean, you're absolutely correct. And yeah, that's why Peter touched I'm like a stepping razor, don't you watch my size, I'm dangerous.
Yeah, man.
You know, that's exactly what he's trying to say there. And we in Jamaica, we hold a big pride to say that we have a country of 4,411 square miles. And look at what we have given the world culturally. Look at the harder they come. Third World Cup. Look at all that thing. The moving magic that they have brought. You know, how Stella got back her groove. You know, the James Bond movies, we played a huge part in them. Filmed here, Doctor No, the first one, based here in Jamaica, you know. We have given the world a lot. And, you know, as I say, Bonnie Rob says it in the song, he says, the big music from the little island.
Yeah, man.
And he's talking.
Whoa, yeah!
He's talking absolute, he's talking absolute truth. I've been reflecting on this over the last few days because of the Toots thing, you know, and I really have been thinking about it a lot. And I think that England was a real catalyst for us. I think that it's an anthropological thing because many Jamaicans went to England in early days. And we developed a community there that never forgot their roots. The Jamaicans that went to England, they never forgot Jamaica. They worked tirelessly until they could get Milo, until they could get yam, until they could get this, that. And, you know, even some products that we didn't even make in Jamaica at the time, but were sold in Jamaica, they found a way to get people to buy those products in England to sell to them. And from whatever country they came from, whether it's New Zealand, America, wherever. And I think that community, that British community, helped to launch off like Young, Gifted and Black, you know, with Baba and Marcia, helped to launch off Poor Me Israelite with Desmond Decker, you know, Babandi.
Babandi, wow.
And well, a little later on, Toots with Monkey Man and, you know, a couple of huge records that he had also. And that kind of really helped us to have a platform by which we could say, boy, we're gonna foreign.
We're all excited about this new version of Hear Us Out in the Big Mountain Camp. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's been like to work with Damien in his label?
I was about to say to you, wicked vocal. Wicked.
I did my best. Thank you.
And it was damn well good enough.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What's it been like working with
Damon Marley's inspired Marley, you know, and he has his own direction in terms of where he wants to see his music go, and he wants to retain a part of his father within him and maintain that legacy. But I think he wants to be Damien Marley, which I think he has accomplished. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
We want to know so that the baton was just passed down to him, and all he had to do is run with it and pass it on to the next one. But he's his own. And when going into the studio with him, when the whole journey started, it's like we had not known him to that level, like he said, the way Cat had known him. Cat used to drive him to music lessons, and he was closest friend to Shia Coore, which is his bass player, which is Cat's son. You know, so there was an advantage there in terms of knowing. So we went in the studio. We spent a whole month just fishing around, trying to getting to know each other. You know, and we might have made some blunder, you know, because Third World can be very cocky when it's ready. Think we know it all. So we came to the resolution that we are going to have this young man produce us. And when I say produce us, not second guess him, give him the baton and say, yeah, lead the orchestra. We're looking at you. And he did so tremendously. Because of his growing up, he had known third world music so well that he had wanted to, whatever we do and wherever we explore, with whatever direction we take it to, we're going to retain that third world sound, that what he called the third world magic. Because in spite of the fact that his father is Bob Marley, third world is still a big musical inspiration to him growing up, you know, and he has not forgotten that, and him just retained that level of integrity throughout the whole thing, you know. And after a year, it felt so good. I remember the first track we laid on was In Mascan. And when we did it, we said, wow, this is where we want to go.
Oh,
and we just continued the project, and, you know, the rest is just, it's just enlightening to work with him. It's a good vibe. We speak to him almost every day now, because he's waiting to continue. And that we will, you know, in spite of this quarantine thing here.
That's beautiful.
We're going to pick up the thing. Huh?
Well, you know, and then, you know, the fact that you guys come with so much knowledge, and I try to be the same way. It's like whenever somebody comes to me and says, oh, well, the youth of today, it's like, don't even start with that youth of today thing, that rap, right? You know, as soon as they come out with, well, but back in the day, no, I don't want to hear that either. Kids want what they want, right? I mean, we're not, this is our world, but we have to be humble enough, right, to understand that our ears are not on the street anymore. We don't have time for that. We're big men. We got families. We got life. We got legacies. We got, you know, accountants and lawyers to deal with and all of that kind of business. But we have to keep our ear to the street. And the way to do it is to respect, right, these young people like that. Like what you're saying, Richie. You gave him the reins.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Uncle Richie.
Doctor.
I see I try to beat me up, man. You talk about we gave him the baton. And sitting in the front of the orchestra, we looked at him. We are trying to literize it. We are trying to murder your little brother, that. Well done, Lieutenant. What a description, man. Top draw, Rich. Top draw.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, that's beautiful, guys.
Yeah,
uncles. It's I know, yeah. I'm probably a little old for that, but no, it's I mean, I can remember the first time I saw you guys. I can remember the first time I opened up for you guys, and I still remember the first time you said a word to me, Kat. We were in the bus in Japan, and you came up and you sat right next to me, and I was like, "What's going on?" And you go, "Yo, me here you control the green side of the mountain." I'll never forget that. And I was like, yeah, man, what do you need? Whatever I got is all yours. You're Cat Coore.
Yes, that sounds like Keto.
Well, you guys
My
have
first
been...
encounter with you, Quino, was Reggae and the River. You remember that little hotel we had breakfast across the street?
Yes.
The Nook. What was the name of that? What's the name of that hotel?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
Everybody stayed there.
Yeah, the Frenchies camp.
Yeah, I remember they came down for breakfast.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Quino.
Thank you, everybody.
No, this is a very special. Yeah, man, it's a special time for me, and it never stopped raining all through the interview, so that's blessing still, you know. So God bless you, my boy, and you know we love you. You know we love you, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you. Good. Thank you, Robertos.
Guidance, my brother.
You guys have a beautiful day. We'll talk soon.
All right. Cool.
Guidance and protection. Love you. to grind, yeah. Approaching deadlines. See you losing your mind. Oh, you say life is unfair when you watch the other side. Got up in the traffic, envying happy birds that fly. Where true lovers apart, no quality time. Call me on the water, listen to me. Only a baby, make happy. Forget the money is on the way. Yeah, baby, make happy. Forget the money is on the way. Hey, hey, we gotta take it easy. Don't kill yourself to make a living. We're born to be free, my dear, believe me. Love yourself without apology. You will be okay. Ask yourself whose life you're living. Grow the excitement, live in the moment. Fly, cause you're not a bird in a cage. Stop for a while, give thanks for life. Gratefulness gives you happiness. Life is a blessing and not a curse. Be careful the thoughts that you put inside your head. Call me on the heart. Listen to me. Only a baby. Make happy. Oh, forget the money. The money is on the way. Yeah, baby. Make happy. Forget the money. The money is on the way. You say life is unfair when you watch the other side. Got up in the traffic, envying happy birds that fly. Where true lovers apart, no quality time. Call me on the water, listen to me. Only a baby, make happy. Forget the money is on the way. Yeah, baby. Make happy. Forget the money is on the way. Only a baby. Make happy. Oh, forget the money is on the way. Yeah, baby. Make happy. Forget the money is on the way. Hey, hey, we gotta take it easy.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Big Mountain Dub Club. This is episode 5. That was Rain Gad, our brethren from Ghana. If you don't know who Rain Gad is, then do yourself a favor, man. Go check out his discography on YouTube. Raingad, Rain Gad, one of the most exciting artists coming out of Africa today. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Third World. One of the highlights of my broadcasting career so far. Just good brethren. Thank you guys again for that wonderful time that we shared. And there was one reference to a song, a Third World song called Hear Us Out. And we're doing a Spanish version of that, if you guys were a little confused about what that was all about. And I got together with my friend Kike Neda from the great group Gondwana, and now he's a solo artist. And he did the translation for Hear Us Out, the Third World version of Hear Us Out, or I should say it is a Third World song because we're using the music. We just redid some vocals on there, and so you'll be listening to that at some point. All right, thanks again for that. All right, let's do it, man. Let's move on to the round table. I know this is long, but again, all this information is important, and those of you who can watch it now or can't watch it, or busy, come check it out later at Big Mountain Dub Club YouTube. That's where we're going to hold on to the archive. And, of course, Big Mountain Dub Club Facebook. All right. Want to welcome my two brethren to the roundtable discussion. We're calling this the Reasoning Sessions now. Trying to move on to get some new hep lingo in this. Paul Kastick, drummer, Big Mountain, Shaggy, Diana King, Maxi Priest, among many others. Let's not forget 809 and the great Dean Frazier. And also joining us, my good brethren, Dr. John Marquez, professor, Northwestern, author of Black and Brown Solidarity. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I.
And guess where I'm transmitting from today?
Back in Montego Bay.
I'm in Kingston, but I'm at Dean's house, Dean Fraser, sitting right over there across from me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I was just, I looked up, for some reason, I was just Googling, watched this long interview, and I Googled like the reunion show you guys had, and that picture, that beautiful picture. I think it was an interview with my brethren. Anyway, Papa Dean, always an honor to be in your presence. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful. All right, how we feeling? I know Jamaica's in morning.
No cut-off internet today, guaranteed.
Dean's got probably the special hookup, huh? He's got like a fiber optics going straight to the transmitter.
Dean just doesn't use Flow. He uses Digicel. Flow popping down every week.
All right. Well, maybe we can get a little endorsement, Maybe they need some advertisement on the Big Mountain Dub Club. John, how you feeling? You look like you're in front of like Lake something, Erie. No, that's not. It's Michigan. Is it Lake? I always forget, man. Which one is it?
Yeah, I'm chilling. Can't you see I'm chilling here on the shores of
Lake?
Lake
Juan Cabaya, a.k.a. Baby Father, a.k.a. Stank Brown.
Yeah. Also, all my aliases, man. John Horse, Juan Caballo.
You forgot Doodoo Brown.
Doodoo Brown.
Okay.
All right, nice.
The real Stanky Brown. That's what I represent.
I need an alias, man.
El Coyote.
El Coyote.
El Coyote.
Yeah, that's the guy that gets the people across the border.
Okay.
That's actually my little brother. Oh, you got a lot of background noise there, Bob.
Hold on, let me turn the TV. Hold on.
Only on the Big Mountain Dub Club.
How you feeling, Quino? You doing all right?
You know what? Today I woke up.
All right. I'm good to go now. Yeah.
You got somebody coming in. You know what? Today was the first day out of the last 3 weeks where I woke up feeling relaxed. And it's really because of these guys in front of me, my homies Raul Peña and Rigo Limon. These guys are angels, man, and they make my life a lot easier. So I felt good. Sweet. I felt like we were prepared. Besides the computer taking a crap halfway through the show, that's to be expected. We couldn't do anything about that. But everything else felt a lot smoother.
What, that happened today?
Yeah. Yes. We were offline for a minute. But we didn't lose, We've been consistently having some nice viewers, and we'll doctor it up and get it on YouTube. Looking good.
¿Cómo se llaman your compas there?
Rigoberto Limon. And he's Rigo kind of focuses on he does everything, and Raul is our main camera, video editor, and just all around techie guy. So it's Raul and Rigo.
Raul, mil gracias. Thank you so much for everything you're doing behind the scenes, all the hard work. You deserve all the credit in the world. Can we get them on screen? Can we see their faces?
They're real shy, man. Come on, guys. Come on.
Big up, guys. Big up.
Preséntenos a la gente. Just give a nice little. Yeah, these bros are on time.
Hey, John, Paul.
Yes, respect, guys. Nice.
Rigo. This is Rigo, and this is Raul.
Nice. Respect, guys. Thanks for the work.
Raul, I like the chamarra. I used to have one just like that.
That's Rigo.
Oh, Rigo.
Yeah. He's got that, the surfer boy chamarra, huh? Yeah, like back in the day, the first time I saw that was because I used to go to high school with surfer boys, and they all had those. That was like, if you got out, once you got out of the water, you had to put that on, or you weren't allowed on the beach or something.
Yeah, don't be lying. He got that shit out your closet.
Really was.
Probably did, or down the street.
So what was Kat and Richie saying?
Boy, we went through everything. I mean, we sprinkled along politics. We talked about elections. We talked about Edgar Manley College.
Edna Manley.
Edna Manley College.
That's the mother of Michael Manley, one of our past prime ministers.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for clarifying. Really, that was the mother of Michael Manley. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, beautiful. We got a woman's name on a college like that. That's I guess produced so many amazing musicians. We talked about the making of 96 Degrees. I asked them questions like, what was it like?
Did you ask them that question? Did you pose that question that I gave you?
I did.
And?
It didn't make the cut.
What do you mean didn't make the cut?
Well, we had to cut something. It was an hour and a half. And it was like, it didn't make it got left on the floor. The cutting floor, as they say in the broadcasting business. But we will have the full interview on YouTube. But they didn't. They both of them were totally oblivious to it. To the message. To the message that you picked up on. How can it be forbidden if it's love? Oh, waka waka waka. How can it be? Yep. They didn't know what you were talking about.
Wagon business.
It's crazy.
But you'll be able to see the whole exchange on YouTube.
Oh, so you did ask the question?
I did. I asked the question. And we got we got the full It was a long for some reason and we did talk about it. It was kind of a long little 3-minute piece. There was a nice chunk
and you're saying they didn't realize that their own video.
News to them.
That's the message it was sending.
Yeah, they were totally fine. They were totally fine with the message, but they didn't pick up on that.
That the two love interests were two girls, the whole video.
Well, I mean, I am a little cloudy on this too because they're looking out the window. The girls are looking out the window, right? And then the dad comes, I guess, and he pulls them from the window. But what they're both gawking over bunny rugs. I mean, maybe I got to look at it a little more carefully.
Anyway, moving right along.
So, Toots. Oh, you know what, John? I know you got some nice questions for us. That you formulated just to spur some beautiful.
Oh, really, John? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to hand it over to you, my Bridget.
Yeah, John.
Did you guys notice that little bottle of Haterade Paul was sipping on earlier today? A few minutes ago, he's sipping on that Haterade. You could tell it's taking its effect now. You can tell. So,
well, good thing. Oh, by the way, I apologize, Jerry. They could not make it. He wanted to be here.
Why am I not surprised?
I hope he's watching right now, man. I hope he's watching right now and seeing how much fun he's missing.
I'm gonna take 2 more tablets just for that.
Because he would have been ready for that Haterade. He would have piled on, man.
Salt.
Haterade gels, tablets, the gel form.
Yeah, with extra salt. Hey, so check it out, Quino, Paul. Good to see you guys once again. You know, I really liked the interview earlier, Quino, with Third World. I like the commemoration, the memories of not only the genealogy of their band, but its influence on Big Mountain, on your own work. But more so even, it was their reflections upon the legacy of Toots Hibbert and his impact on reggae music, even to the extent of giving it its name, which I thought was a great little vignette, a great little story that they shared as well. You know, the thing about Toots that stood out to me as well, and from my own thinking, is how much of a rebel he was at the same time of being an originator. Like he had an independence, a knowledge of self, a sense of security in terms of who he was and what was his repertoire and what was his skill set. Often describing himself as a country boy, you know, very much influenced by this whole notion of being of the country and not from the city, and of listening to a lot of American artists and being influenced by them. And you can hear that. I mean, there's parts of, you know, Ray Charles in Toots's music. There's, you know, Hank Williams, I hear, you know, the influence of, you know, these older folk artists and stuff like that. And, you know, I think that's quite remarkable. And one of the things, Quino, that you highlighted in your interview with Third World was how, you know, Toots both came before, but also exceeded on the margins or outside of what became marketed as global reggae music, right? The image, the dreadlock, the kind of Pan-Africanism, that really, it was, you know, Bob Marley and the Wailers and Peter Tosh that popularized that kind of marketable image. But Toots came before that, but he also never felt pressure to assimilate to that image as well, because he was his own thing, right?
He's unlike any other Jamaican artist. Yeah. Unlike any other. He was his very own thing. He didn't get caught up in none of what was going on. He just had his lane and he blazed his thing, and he never watched what was going on around him or cared. No. He just did him.
Totally. And his sound, the way it started out and the way it ended, it was the same sound. He never felt a need to evolve with the recording industry or you know, it still sounded like it was recorded in 1960s Jamaica, you know what I mean? He always had that rough edge.
Listen, let me tell you something. I've heard some experiences from my friends who have done sessions for years. I've never worked with him. I've toured and on the same tour with him. There was one time I ever played for Toots, and that's when about 2 years being in Kingston, and I remember the rehearsals, and it was me on drums, Tyrone Downey on keyboards, All-Star, Mikey Fletcher, a couple guys from 809 mixed up with some other guys. And it was just like, don't think you were coming in a session. I mean, the concert, the rehearsals were what they were. But I'm going to move away from that. The show went down good, and that was my only experience I've ever playing with it. But for years, I've always heard musicians talk about the stress and the fear of going in a session with Toots. They would come to me worn out. Benji Myers, bass players, they were like, I have a session with Toots today. And when they were done, it was like, dude, it's like, just don't think for 1 minute that you are going to a session with Toots. Don't think you're going to be on the clock. Don't plan anything that you have to go to. Because don't think you're going to go in there and just give him some whatever. I went in the first time they called me for a session. This is after hearing all the horror stories, right? And I remember doing thing, and he's like, yeah, Paul, yes, me like it. But I know you have something else. You're going to give me something else. And I'm like, Okay, and I'm start a whole new track in the MPC track one, beef it, and he's dancing. And as he's dancing, he's ever rolling at the same time. And nobody carries a stash. No guy exists that you know that deal with the green stuff and the level that can walk near Toots. And I'm telling you, he's in the studio and I'm on like maybe the third drum track for the same song. And I'm there and he's dancing and he said, yes, yes, Paul, yes, yes. But I know you're going to give me something else. You're going to give me something else. You're going to give me another style. You're going always pulling the best out of you. Always thinking when you're done. He's always making you go inside to, oh my God, how do I top this now? And 3, 4, 5, even my friends used to tell me 6, 8, 9 bass lines later, you know, they're still like, okay,
Wow.
take 25.
Wow. Now, what do you think? What do you think he was listening for? I mean,
I listen, dude. I'm not gonna say and pretend that I know what was going on in that guy's mind, but listen, he has a body of work that we all love from I was a kid. I was singing these songs outside my gate, me and my neighbors, who are all top engineers now. And when we look back now, thinking when we were 12 and 13, we used to be singing these two songs out our gates, loud in the community. So, you know, his body of work speaks for itself, man. I can't say what he was thinking, but he was always trying to pull the best out of you. That's all I'm gonna say. Always pushing.
He's the greatest. He's the greatest reggae performers.
That's my Toots experience. That's it. That's it as far as it goes. Other than that, on tour, always shows your love. Just always show your love.
Yes.
And Paul, what? Yeah, all right, and just working.
Nice.
So how about we build upon that? I mean, Paul, that's a great story, and it's the reason why we have you on is because we know only you can bring that type of flavor and that type of history. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
But I also want to get it as part of the roundtable, a reasoning session. Let's get a little bit more philosophical. The questions I want, and it's not necessarily for all of us. These are for you two in particular. I mean, I think Paul opened up an interesting set of questions about the people we surround ourselves with, right? So in part, the reason why we're a member of this virtual roundtable is because we've tested each other in the same ways that Paul is suggesting, that the kind of iron sharpeth iron type of thing, that you want to be in the studio with real lions that are going to push you beyond your comfort level, right? And a lot of times people don't like to be uncomfortable, right? A lot of times people just like to find a comfortable setting, a small town to where they're the big fish in a small pond, but you never get better in that way, right?
Exactly. There's no challenge.
Yeah, as an athlete, you never get better if you're playing against competition you can dominate. You're only going to get better if you go to another court and test yourself against the best of the best, right?
Exactly.
So part of our relationship as us three is that, we've always been interested in our perspectives because we know that we're going to be critical of each other. We know that we're going to push each other even further. We know that we're going to inspire, often anger each other, right? Sometimes we piss each other off, but it pushes us to try to be better. It pushes us to try to, Paul, for you to produce, you send me a rhythm and I'm saying, Paul, that's kind of whack. You get pissed off at me, you cuss me out, but then you go back in the lab and you produce some doper shit, right? That's how it works.
Right.
Same thing with, I'll share a certain philosophy or something I'm writing about with Quino, and he'll be like, it's not really landing for me, right? And it sounds like you're trying to be too
flowery.
Yeah, too flowery, split too many hairs, etc., etc. And so we have that legacy from Toots to remember him as. But what I find similar with you two, in terms of thinking about somebody like Toots Hibbert, is the position of the iconoclast, a person who changes your expectations, who's bold enough to kind of think outside of the box. And I think both of you kind of represent that. Paul, you've always been innovative. You've always been willing to push the boundaries with regards to fashion, with regards to the look, with regards to sound, with regards to using and blending different genres, being interdisciplinary in how you think about music. Quino, you're one of the first reggae artists to sing in Spanish, to sing about struggles and histories and places that were not in the Caribbean, that were not part of the African diaspora. Those are all risks that you all took, right? You didn't know how it was going to land. You didn't know how it was going to be received. You didn't know what kind of comforts it was going to bring, but you still pushed forward in being an iconoclast. And so I wanted to begin some of our conversation today. It was like, what does it mean? What does it take for somebody to take that step? What does it take for somebody to be willing to step out into that wilderness alone and blaze a new path? How was that experience for you all? And then later, if we have time, we'll talk about what does that mean societally or politically in terms of trying to create new conversations or create new ways of thinking. So if you could just biographically or autobiographically speak about what did it feel like to take those risks? What does it feel like to think outside the box? And be ready for the type of criticism that you might receive from your industry.
Boy, well, and then we, just interviewed Third World, talk about taking risks, right? And all the experimentation that they did, and I really appreciate the question. I think it's something that a lot of reggae artists outside of Jamaica see as kind of like their first step, right? Because at least in my generation, we were so obscure, so novel in my neighborhood. Nobody was doing it. So partly I was receiving praise and just for being original. But early on, I realized that the things that I was saying, the political messages that I was saying in reggae music, was rubbing people wrong. And me and John, my cousin John, last week we talked about putting on a Saigon Pen benefit back in the 1980s and having people yell at us, and I've had beer bottles thrown at me. You know what I mean? You kind of develop a rough skin for this type of thing, that you're going out on a limb and you're expressing yourself and you're trying to bring new concepts into the community. You're hoping that these things that you're working on are going to, one, inspire people to do their own thing, but also inspire people to just look at new ways of judging our society and like, what are we going to accept? Are we going to accept where the world is right now? Are we going to accept this place that we're at in terms of history and the development of the human race, or are we going to keep pushing forward? And I think for me, reggae music just set me up for a life of feeling resistance from those people that don't want change. Those people that are trying to maintain the status quo and are trying to, like again, Lynn and I, we were talking about today, the song, we opened up with the song, Time Has Come, Big Mountain. Mm-hmm. And Lynn's dramatic poem in the beginning. And, it all leads up to, if we don't like what we see, we are free to destroy it. And the song talks about just dismantling things that no longer, that have never served us, right? It maybe served a time when there was no opposition to colonialism and slavery, or that I should say there's always been opposition. That never existed. But what I'm saying is that, hey, there comes a time when people take it upon themselves to say, no more. And for me, reggae music was all about that. It was like a tool that told me, all right, this is the way you're going to change your neighborhood. This is the way you're going to change your family. This is the way you're going to, do whatever you can to wipe out all that negativity in the past, and let's look for a bright tomorrow. Let's look for a way forward.
So, Paul, I want to get your take on this question as well, but let me briefly follow up with Quino on something he said before we turn it over to you. And I love that tune. Time has come. I never told you this story, but even before I met you, Quino, one of my first public lectures that I gave as a teacher was titled "Don't Drink the Bad Water." And it came from a lyric in that song, man. Don't you drink bad water? Yeah. So it's like you reject the poison. You reject the things that are sickening you. You flee the things that are creating you harm, and you venture into new territory, regardless of how scary it might be. At least it's not going to harm you anymore, right?
Right.
My question about the role of the iconoclast was more along the pressure that we often face to kind of assimilate to a certain mode, assimilate to a certain kind of figure within our industries. I mean, this is essentially how capitalism works, right? There's a marketability associated with how we're perceived as intellectuals, as writers, as artists. And on the one hand, your story, Quino, is very organic, that you're saying, you were addressing things that you saw as harmful in your own community. And reggae was the vehicle that got you to that epiphany that the time has come, correct?
Yes.
But you're also trying to make a living for yourself as an artist, right? And so in a couple of episodes, you've used the word career suicide as associated with you changing your look, right? So how does that feel like in terms of like, and this is where is a good segue for thinking about Paul as well. What does it feel like to rebel against the pressure that you have to look a certain way, or even sound a certain way to be a reggae artist, or to be marketable as a reggae artist? Is it really career suicide, or are you like Toots, self-determining your own career path, right? I think that's the juxtaposition that I think most of the audience can buy into. The thing is like, how much of myself am I sacrificing by trying to live up to what people think I should be? And how much of that reproduces a status quo that I know is bad water, that I know is harmful, that I know obstructs real change from happening? And what does it take for me to say no and to refuse that? What risks will it involve? Sometimes artists are the ones that provide the cushioning for us to fall back on, but you yourselves are people, right? And so what does it feel like to have that pressure of being, Paul, you're speaking from the position of a Jamaican reggae artist, but you're also more than a Jamaican reggae artist. I mean, you're multidisciplinary in that way. Quino, you're speaking from the position of a reggae artist, one of the first notorious reggae artists that's not from Jamaica. And so the pressure,
that's the thing for sure,
quite organic and pristine with you. And just to wrap it up, Paul, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, and then we'll bounce it back to Quino. Quino, you've said to me on occasion that you've always tried to honor Jamaica, honor the origin of the music, but not try to sound Jamaican in terms of your speech patterns, in terms of like, the way that you've critiqued newer generations of reggae artists from places like California as kind of like speaking a patois that's not organic to them, but that's them performing a certain authenticity, right? So both Paul and Quino, how do you respond to some of these queries or some of these challenges? Like, what does it feel like to try to have to live up to a standard, and what does it also feel like to break away from that and take the risk?
You go, Paul.
I think the whole dynamic with Quino being from the States, I know the pressure is a whole different, and I've recognized that with Big Mountain, because I've always had to face, since I joined Big Mountain, I've heard the little comments about, like those guys over there that are stealing our shit and they got more successful. And I'm like, I'm ready to throw down with any guy who wants to come to me with that. They can't even I'm ready to debate you, because I'm like, okay, I'm like, what are you really saying? Okay, the UB40s of the world, the Steel Pulse of the world, the Aswats of the world, the Big Mountains of the world. I've always been like, listen, you can't be doing something and act as if we were all influenced by American and British music. Hence Hence, Jamaica is the hub for guys doing covers and lovers rock of foreign tunes. So how dare we now try to act as if all of a sudden we don't want our music to influence, and if it does influence anybody, we just wanted them to swipe their credit cards. So we want to go tour, we want to go into the States, but how dare they now play the music and actually have success? So I'm always mixing it up with these guys and says, bullshit, you can't have it both ways. We all want to go to the embassy and get that visa and fly out and go play New York, California, the reggaes and the rivers of the world. But you have some little niche, little cliques of guys that would still be having a problem with the white boy. They might do that big tune there. Oh, them on there take quitting. You know, like I've always had to kind of like be like, no, that's not how it works, though. Do you want to stay in Jamaica only and just not fly out and just play for Jamaica? Nobody wants that. We all have a product. And we want. That's why I don't buy into this argument where there's this whole thing called, John, what's the word they're using now? Like Adele the other day wore a Jamaican outfit.
Appropriating culture.
Yeah, cultural this. And I'm like, whoa, you have to be careful what you're saying, because don't all of us are trying to get something that goes out into the world and have it accepted? So they had a problem with Adele wearing a Jamaican flag. She was at a West Indian event in her own town where she was born and grew up, and I'm like, what is this? And there was a whole heap of back and a lot of Jamaicans came to Adele's defense, rightfully so. Because I'm like, what are you talking about?
And that's usually the way it is.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's America. I think it's a lot of the American stuff, the cancel movement, Me Too movement, the cancel state, they're just like all over. They're like touching into everybody's thing. And when I saw that they were like kind of like messing with Adele, I was like, what's the matter with these people? Do they know anything about England and British people and reggae? What makes I was just like, come on. And a lot of top Jamaicans came to her defense and said, we love that she's feels like she's representing Jamaica because this is her community that she lives in. It just happens that there's a West Indian community there, and that's where she was born and grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And what? So,
I think, Paul, culture does flow openly in that way. And I think cultures do mix in a fluid way, in a dynamic way. But I also think histories matter. And I'm going to sound like the asshole here. But, appropriations of blackness or performances of blackness do have a certain history that is damaging and that is disparaging, right? And so there is a tradition, and maybe this doesn't apply to other parts of the world, but at least here in the United States, it does, in terms of black labor, in terms of the cultural production, the work produced by black people being stolen from them, and them not being given the proper credit or the credit that's due, right? And so, you can trace that back to early jazz movements and kind of vaudeville theater and performance of blackface minstrelsy.
Blackface, I was thinking about that. I was just trying to say that.
So it's difficult to account, on the one hand, account for those histories and account for how the term blackness enters our modern vocabulary, while at the same time be people who are willing to be iconoclasts or who are trying to blend histories and blend cultures in a certain way to produce new paradigms, right? So you want to be open to change as your careers represent, and I think as my career represents as well, as a public intellectual, as a scholar, as a writer. But at the same time, not forget specifically what the ingredients for those blendings are and where they come from, right? And so that's the difficulty of what we face, specifically when we're talking about things like reggae music, which are rooted in this kind of black radical tradition, which are rooted in the ways people responded to the violence of the Middle Passage. So, I speak somewhat autobiographically as well. I'm a Chicano, I identify as a brown man, and I work in the field of black studies, right? And so part of my presence and part of the work that I do is always trying to emphasize what it means to practice solidarity and to connect different histories and struggles. But at the same time, I am wary of the fact that some people would rather have somebody who identifies as Black at the lead or at the forefront of some of these conversations. So there's times in which I feel that I do have to actually step back and not play a lead role. But at the same time, we don't want to take away our rebel spirit and the kind of spirit of somebody like a Toots or even a Che Guevara. I mean, that dude crossed so many boundaries and learned from so many different cultures and blended so many different histories to change the way we thought about the world, right? So you take a risk when you cross a border. You take a risk when you migrate to another history or to another culture, right? And it takes a certain kind of strength, but also a humility in order to continue that over the long period of time that you all, I think, have both done as artists. So, Quino, did you want to comment on this? And I mean, especially you, I think Paul nailed it by saying your particular situation of not just being a first American, but, you often refer to your own family story as this kind of like, you're trying to blend a lot of different things that are happening even within you as an individual person.
Right.
So,
well, Kat and I, we touched on it a little bit on this interview, and Richie.
Hey, hold on, stop. Just 1 second. Let me just say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Fun. You see what you're saying, John? You see all that you just said about sometimes you feel like you have to step back about, because, okay, you're dealing with Black studies and you're a brown, whatever. Even within Jamaica, in the musical, remember I told you what I went through when I came to Kingston, because look, I did not fit the normal look where maybe because I joined A-Town and maybe I'm supposed to be, or maybe I'm supposed to have had the locks 20 years ago.
Yeah, tell us the story, Val. Like, tell us the story when you came in with the Michael Jackson.
No, it's not.
Look.
I'm just saying. I remember what I wore, and I'm saying,
right.
Dean,
and you were
Dean is here. Dean ended up telling me 2 years later, within what he thought of me, when he saw me walk in, and he was like, but that day, I wouldn't have known. Right. I just felt like we were auditioning for the great Dean Fraser and Mikey Fletcher, and I just did what I know I could do. But he told me 2-3 years down the road, like, dude, and I saw you come in and you had like 2 earrings, pair of jeans with holes in it, bright orange t-shirt, and wearing boots. I'm like, where this fuck I think he's going? This is like where does he? How dare he thinks?
This ain't Hollywood. This ain't Greenwich Village.
And I'm like,
you're in Jamaica, boy.
But also it's like that band. They listen. My band leader, Nambo, he's a Muslim. Also, God rest his soul. And I'm telling you, Nambo, I never sussed out any. They were everybody. And all these guys were guys I was reading on album covers for years. And when I'm in the room, I'm like, okay, over there is Gibby Morrison, who I've been reading his name on credits from when I was in 9th grade in high school. And over here is Bopi. I've been reading his name on album credits from same time. I'm 14, 15.
Man.
And
Legends.
Then how dear is it now that 2-3 years before the 86, I saw Dean at Reggae Sunsplash. And I was just like, there's a nervousness over me. And I couldn't have guessed in all my wildest dreams that I was going to be in a band with this guy. Are you crazy? That's more than a dream come true.
Right.
And I came to Kingston with this flair shit. And these guys they were just like roll off.
And that is what's beautiful about you, Paul.
Whatever came out, they were like,
yo, for real.
They didn't care about anything else.
They wanted that sound of the drums. Paul, that's always that's always been so important to me about you, boss, is that you don't care, you know. And for me, when we started playing together in 1998, right? I needed that because I cared about what everybody was thinking about me that at that time. You know what I mean? And you were just such a breath of fresh air, man, because it was like you were a proud Jamaican playing reggae music.
With the white boys.
And a
with
great
the white boys.
and already had played with all the greatest, right? And then you decided to come to Big Mountain, and that was, you know, but you've always been your own man, bro. You know, you've always been exactly who you want to be, and that is, you've always inspired me huge for that reason. I thank you.
Respect, man.
And you know, but just to touch upon the, you know, this whole idea of, you know, I mean, I don't think I need to get too heavy into it, but you know, we all choose these paths that we take, and we all have to maneuver our way through all of these political, social pitfalls, and you know, sometimes it's something that you can control, and sometimes it's not, right? It's like when I can remember when we were trying to get on radio, there was this fervor at the time. Everybody in reggae wanted to get on radio, right? And there was, you know, everybody had talked about how Bob never was able to crack the top 40 while he was alive in the United States. So the United States had to come down. It was like, that was a focus, and it didn't matter what we did. We had to blend, right? We had to bring these fusions because there was no way we were gonna crack that top 40 without having some fusion stuff going on, because radio just was not evolved, and you had to not really sing a lot of patois, or you could do, you know, you could do the patois as a rap, but you kind of had to sing your way without an accent through the song with a little bit of vibe in there, blah blah blah. And of course, the people, nobody understands that, and nobody remembers that, and that was stuff that we were going through, yeah. I mean, when it's all said and done, I think I'm happy with the way we've gone through this little dance that between the orthodox reggae people and the industry that just wants you to just make a hit, please.
Yeah, the fear.
Yeah. There's always those pressures to conform and to find comfort, right? To stay in your village and never venture out. And then when you do venture out, and you get a different glimpse of the world, and you do see other things, and your style changes, and the way you talk and the way you think changes, you're not always going to be welcome back in your village. Right. I mean, it's even in the New Testament, the Bible, it says, you know, the prophet's not always well haven in their own yard. And so it's dangerous, and there's some risk involved. But what you do in the meantime is you build a new community, you build a new family. Right. Paul, what are you trying to do?
What do you got?
I was just saying, my friend just said hi to me. And I was just telling him that I'm on an interview, but would you like to know who he is?
I would love to know who it is.
My first tour, big tour in the US in 1990. Alvin Horton is the percussionist for the Burning Spear for all those big albums.
Wow.
All those albums. He's way older now. He's retired and he lives here. So he just came up behind me and I said, I'm on an interview, but that's my brethren. This is one of the guys that just like took me like this. I remember landing in Seattle and I told him that, boy, I needed a pair of gloves. And when I got to Seattle and got off the plane and got out, he handed me a bag with a brand new pair of gloves. And it's just like, Alvin is just, and he's here. He's way older now, retired. But
God bless Alvin. God bless him.
Tons of Burning Spear albums. He lives right here.
Thank you, Alvin, for that contribution, man. We love those Burning Spear records, boy. They're just nothing like another guy that did his own thing, right? Man, another yeah, Burning Spear, boy. Go ahead, bro. Pick up.
Listen, let me stop right there. Listen, you have some groups, Remember also that sometimes you try not to, but if you take a loan from the bank, what do? They give you stipulation. If you take a loan from the IMF, what do? They tell you your country has to devalue your dollar. You get stipulations before you can get a loan from the IMF. That's what a record company is. And for years, my thing was Steel Pulse and Aswad, and I've watched the transition from True Democracy to what was it? Stepping Out, that album, Earth Crisis. And I watched and I started to learn and pick up on what was going on. And then I saw them move from Earth Crisis to Babylon the Bandit. And I saw the change from, even in production, you can tell that you have A&R, that influences an artist who a record company assigns to oversee the band during their recording, when you sit down to plot out the direction. And I remember when they went from Earth Crisis, which was that groundbreaking album, with Stepping Out, Do I Have to Call, Sitting on a Throne of Gold, Roller Skates, all those tunes. And then they went from that, and then we had the advent now of the Simmons electronic drums now. When Black Uhuru won the first reggae Grammy in 1985 with Anthem. Then Steel Pulse now, next album, they incorporated that whole electronic Simmons drums, and that's what you got on the Babylon the Bandit album, right? And then what started to happen after that? A lot of programming started to happen. And they signed with a new company now. And they came up with this very electronic album where everything was programmed. And everybody was like, the purists, all the what you call it?
Yeah, man.
The purists were like,
the jihad.
What that?
The reggae jihad.
What that? But the songs were great. It's just that, obviously, David was willing to listen to people that were saying, listen, this is what's going on.
The
now.
new shit, man.
And they gave
Don't get left behind.
So that same thing happened with Aswad. I mean, Aswad came out with Don't Turn Around and that nice album there. And then what was coming
Distant Thunder. Distant Thunder was
no, Distant Thunder. And then what happened right after that? Right after that, Aswad ended up 2-3 years later in Kingston, working with Gussie Clark, who was right now Shabba Ranks and all that stuff that was going on. That was what was running the world. So their producers from Virgin telling them, look, you got to go down to Jamaica. Your next album have to have that. And those, not that they believe that, but the bigger heads that's controlling the budget and the money say, you have to go down there, so because of Gussie Clark we want. And hence, everything came up with that program type of,
and I was feeding off of that totally. That album was so important for me. Distant Thunder was it revolutionized, because I mean that's when really the R&B reggae marriage was coined so perfectly in that album.
When I tried to play one of the beats when I just joined Big Mountain, you said I was playing a Johnny Clegg and Savuka type of beat. Which what I was doing, I was copying Aswad Set Them Free.
Set them free.
So I was playing it, me and Rowan the first week in Big Mountain.
Set them free.
3 years later, Quino was like, man, Paul came the first day in rehearsal and started playing this beat, talking like it's Johnny Clegg and Savuka. Now, you can probably tell John who Johnny Clegg and Savuka is. So it's a South African band led by a white dude. One white dude in charge of a whole South African band, but this one white guy. Johnny
Clegg, man. Johnny Clegg.
It's like Lee Oscar in War.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, third world knows who that is.
Lee Oscar, man. That guy, you know how the sax in Third World, it's always blended with a harmonica?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's Lee Oscar.
I just went into that little.
Lee Oscar's the Johnny Clegg of Compton.
Okay, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm just showing that how all of this talk, it's in music also. It's just like, and I've always thought that I was like, okay, you know, you're getting a loan. That's what a record deal is. It's a loan
Yeah,
to let you be
yeah.
able to hire the best of the
With a
best
lot of
and record
stipulations.
freely with a lot of stipulations. Sometimes you're
So
forced to get that money, to get that thing to pay your staff, to pay your family. You got to kind of like conform and like,
Yeah,
okay,
man.
these guys said these guys are the best producers. I'm just gonna go with them and whatever, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's the
and
same in
of
my
course,
profession. It's
Pop
the same
business.
in my profession. We face the same pressures when you're starting out. You have to kind of play by the rules and
you have to
write in a
keep, you have
certain
to,
way. That's going to
yeah.
win the approval of your colleagues. And then once you've cut your teeth a little bit, then you can start balling out. Then you can start saying what you really want to say and doing
and
what you really want.
I can tell you a lot of American artists that I can tell you that I've watched them and I realized that's what it was. And the more when they got hits and got more power, then you realize their true direction that they wanted to do. I remember Pink. When Pink came out, they were trying to push Pink as a hip hop R&B artist. And she rolled with it. She rolled with it and then eventually she start
I'm,
doing the rock thing when she
John,
started
I'm going to
John,
playing.
interrupt.
I think John's not digging that reference.
All right, all
I'm,
right. What, John?
I gotta disrupt that. That's a poor example. I don't even want to continue that line. But everything you've said up until this point is profound, Paul. I've
Amazing.
been educated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Okay, John.
And I love the way you're sitting somewhere and you just have stars walking by.
Yeah, I'm here.
Legends. They just walk
He's sitting
by.
there. Dean went in his room because he knows I'm doing the interview, and then Alvin walks out, and I can go into various stories just regarding Alvin alone. We've
Oh,
been on so many tours, and just that my first 7 weeks tour in America was with Shinehead, Shelly Thunder, Marcia Griffiths, Uri, Freddie McGregor,
oh.
Daytona Band, and the headliner was the Burning Spear. And we were playing the Greek theaters, we were playing the this, we were playing the that, all that stuff.
Oh,
It was just like heaven.
amazing. 1990.
1990.
My
You
youth.
guys, I saw you guys 2 years later.
My youth.
And I was on tour with Muta
Oh,
and
that's another. Oh
Lollapalooza.
man.
That's when I saw
Yo,
Big Mountain the first time.
we gotta get Muta on the Dub Club, man.
I can call. I can hook it. I can try and probably get him.
Hey,
I
Kino,
can
really
check him
quick,
out.
with the time we have remaining, I was hoping maybe you could riff a little bit more in closing about the role of the iconoclast in the spirit of Toots. Well, what does it mean to function in that way politically and socially? Like one debate that you and I have ongoing, and Paul, you and I have talked about this as well, is Kino's always trying to change the mind of people. Kino's always trying to drag people off the fence. People who are on the fence about certain issues, he's trying to drag them to what he thinks is a righteous side of things. And my approach is often quite different. Kino can tell you, my approach is just like, with all that is taking place, with all the information available, if people are still on the fence, fucking let them sit there. That's not my work. My work is to build the people who have already crossed to the other side. My work is to organize the people who are already there and give them a backbone, give them an organizing platform, give them slogans, give them anthems, give them power, right? And what is the role of the iconoclast in that process? Is the iconoclast somebody who drags people off the fence, or somebody who blazes new trails with a machete for those that are already seeking salvation?
I think right now where I'm at in my life, I'm losing patience with people that are just taking on what we call the other side right now, just because it just seems like the other side is so bitter and is using racist innuendos and all these silly little these little argument type of aids that their leader, President Trump, is using. It's like you can't have a serious conversation anymore. Everybody wants to get into these little spins and stuff like that. So it makes it so as soon as I hear that, I turn off. I think
didn't used to be that way.
Well,
right?
You know what I mean? And I think that I was sort of like in a position where I was still walking on a tightrope, so to speak. The great Steel Pulse song.
Walking on a tightrope.
Talks about that. Another one off of that great Earth Crisis album, right?
Crisis.
Can't afford to part my toes. That's where I was at one point in my life, just because the politics and trying to keep bands together. You know what I mean? You're always worried about your bandmates. You're always worried about their families. How much you can go. I mean, I think we're finally getting to a point where we can really, and shows like this allow us to show people another side of us that that maybe our records, it was difficult to really expose with our records. Now, I don't think necessarily public figures, huh?
We have tenure. We have tenure.
Yeah. Full on.
To John.
Yeah, and I don't think, everybody's got to make up their own decision, but at some point you kind of get to a point in your life where you want to, you're so worried about moving forward, and then you start to go, wow, you know what? If I just look to my left and my right and I just start to tighten up the edges and I start to think about, okay, now it's not necessarily time to revolutionize anything. Right now what it is time to try to refine the message in Big Mountain and like I said, pull together all the loose strings and this is part of it, right? This is part of the legacy, is just being able to play Big Mountain songs that I think are important message-wise, and then talk about them and include them in a program like this. So yeah, the pressure's definitely off for compromise and for worrying about really what people think. I don't have a label anymore. I don't have to worry about a record label. Me and Bruce, we my manager, we bump our heads here and there, but even that's kind of dissipating now. It's a beautiful place to be, like you say. To have tenure is a beautiful place to be, and I'm excited about this new medium.
Nice. Well, briefly, just a brief caveat, Paul, and then we're gonna let you close it out for us. When I made the statement, Quino, that you didn't used to be that way, I don't think that was a fair assessment. I think context is important. I think when you're in the role of the artist, the leader of a band, facing the pressures that you do in your profession to keep a band together, right? To be seen and to be appreciated by your audience, I do think you speak in a different way, right? Because you need to, because of that context. But for those of us like myself who have come to know you under different auspices and in different contexts, we know that you have a different voice, right? Like you and I, as we stated in a previous episode, you and I met as comrades, like literal comrades, as part of a revolutionary organization. We didn't meet as anything else other than that. It was a solidarity, and we were committed towards a certain kind of radical critique of power and of society. Like that Quino voice is not the Quino voice leader of Big Mountain. So, sometimes we have to pick and choose, as you say, the context of how we speak on certain things. When I'm lecturing to an auditorium of 200 undergraduate freshmen and sophomores, the tone and the approach that I use with them is much different than it is when I talk to people like yourself who I share a different context and a different relationship to. So, out of fairness to you, I think that that's an important caveat to understand. It's not necessarily that you were once an accommodationist and now you're not. It's more that you've kind of learned to speak as an iconoclast in different ways and different venues. So, Paul, did you have anything?
Yeah, no, ain't nothing wrong with that, because it's like, even yesterday, you know what I did yesterday? You know who I spent the day with yesterday? For the first time in my life after seeing this guy for years on tour with Ziggy Marley, Earl China Smith.
Wow.
He sent for me.
No way.
So I was in, yes. Every time I spoke to one of my brethren, he would put China on the video. China said,
marijuana.
Me want to link with you. Me want to see you. So I was like, I made it a point of my duty that this week in Kingston, I have to go see the big man. So I went to see, and it was an experience. Like if you saw videos and pictures from yesterday, and we were just chatting about music and R&B music,
beautiful.
Jimi Hendrix, guitar rock music, reggae roots, everything. And I was playing some stuff, and he knows Big Mountain, he loves Big Mountain, and he was asking me about
pure love.
Robert Zapata, he was asking me about Zapata. Zapata is the guy who me and him left Shaggy the same time and came into Big Mountain that same week. Remember?
Yeah,
I remember.
Zapata came to Japan with us. Zapata came to Japan with us, and he helped us work out The Only One.
That's right. That's right.
I remember that guy.
So, yeah, I spent the day with Urchin Smith, and it was just,
and
I saw
there's
a whole different set of people that
Soul Syndicate, man. Soul Syndicate boss.
Just the type of
Harvest Uptown. That album is amazing.
And of course, and he has this white British dude that lives there, old Rasta guy, elder. And I'm like, this guy says, yeah, he's born in England. And when I look at the walls, I realize him and China Smith go way back from when they were younger.
Wow.
And he seems to live there. And we ended up working on 2 tracks, live drums and whatever.
China has a studio right there in his house? Or
yeah, man. He has a studio right there in the living room. Live drum, Pro Tools, and the chillum pipe going hard. All day. All day.
Speaking of chillum pipe, boy, I'm ready.
I can't listen.
Ready. I'm barely holding it together, man.
Zapata. I remember that
2 hours.
Robert Zapata. He rated that guy. He really respected Zapata. And I said, I would have never known. If of all the person I think you would be asking me for. Remember, this is the first we're ever having a conversation. I've been in a rehearsal for a week with China Smith and never exchanged a sentence with him. Because I was these guys called me, because Quigley was hurt. And you know who we were rehearsing? Joseph Israel, my brethren.
Wow.
He was in Jamaica, working, living, produces albums, Squiddly, them, China Smith, they produce his album.
Okay.
And he was in Jamaica waiting around for Reggae Day. And they called me. Squiddly said he want me to play because he couldn't play. So Squiddly called me, which was respect.
Wow.
I was like, what? So Squiddly wanted me to play, and I started going to the rehearsals. And we were in this rehearsal. It was the first I was ever on stage with China Smith and Chris Meredith from Ziggy Marley. And I was just like, we never spoke a word to each other. We rehearsed that all week, and it was just respect. We did the arrangement. We played the show. So surprising to me, a month ago when I got a video message from him saying, yo, come in, I want to see you. So I went there for the first time yesterday. We actually exchanged words and we spent the whole day there.
Oh, man, what a beautiful.
His production is called, his little thing he has going on is called Inna the Yard.
Inna the Yard.
Inna the Yard production. Yeah, man. Big up. Earl China Smith.
Earl China Smith. Yeah, man. Legend.
Your boy Zapata, I remember he walked in the studio rocking the outfit with polka dots, man. I thought I hadn't seen that shit since Kwame.
Mr. Minneapolis.
You remember Kwame, Paul, the rapper? Kwame rocking the polka dots?
No.
If Jerry was here, he'd know what I'm talking about.
You sure that wasn't Busta Rhymes?
No, man. Kwame was the original polka dotter.
All right. I like it. I'm no expert there, but
Google it. Google
yeah.
it.
Nah, Robert Zapata, man, another legend, man. Hope he's doing good.
He was wicked on the keyboards. I remember that.
Yeah, man, he was a badass keyboard player and badass guitar player. Trust me, that's guitar was his instrument.
I didn't know that.
In Shaggy, he was playing both keys and the guitar, and then Bert was playing keys. But when we were going to that Japan trip with Big Mountain, he just came in and played keys because we already had your boy Stevie Verhout.
Right. That was different times, man. Different times, you know. People were still wearing shoulder pads back then, men, you know.
Yo, guys, sounds like it's time to wrap up another roundtable session with Big Mountain Book Club. Quino, thanks for everything. Thanks for your team behind the scenes. Paul, thanks for sharing all the wisdom and stories with us.
Quino, you need to let the people hear Big Mountain's version of Toots Reggae Got Soul.
Reggae
so
Got
you need
Soul.
To find that. You need to find that and close out the show. Close out the show with that tribute to Toots because
I love it. I love it.
That version we did is killer.
I think so too.
Yeah. That's probably one of the first productions I've done with Big Mountain that John actually said he liked.
Come on, man. Man, did you crack open another haterade? Look at you. You over there just sipping that salt juice, man. Look at you. That shit look like pickle juice. It's so salty.
God. All right, let's see if we can do that. I'm gonna have to stretch my monologue.
Soul, let the people hear that for real.
Big Mountain. Okay, there it is, right there. Can we? Is it possible to download that? In the back. Por favor, descárgalo y. Yeah. Okay.
Big up to Toots, man. Rest in peace, the legend.
Yes, I.
Boss.
Well, thank you guys, man. This has been another great one. I'm not worried about the time anymore. It's just gonna be like whatever, you know. If we got to put 4-hour shows every week up on YouTube, that's just the way it's gonna be, and it's gonna be there for as long as civilization lasts.
Yeah, we have tenure.
That's right.
Said. We have tenure.
Nobody rushes us. Nobody rushes us. We got tenure.
It's not a flop thing. We're not a flop thing.
No clock thing. All right, my brethrens. So next week we got Tanya Stevens.
So
the Blue Mountain
interview.
You gotta right, and you gotta let me know when you're on with Tanya, so I can log on and check it out.
Okay. And then we also got.
I got a great person for the roundtable to follow up on Tanya really quick.
There we go. All right.
You know, I was just saying, I have a great sister in that would contribute to the roundtable really well, following up off of Tanya. So I'll be in contact with you about that.
Okay, bro.
Really?
That would be wonderful. We're gonna have Lynn Copeland back.
John, me and you will talk.
To co-host.
Me and you will talk this
and then let's do that.
John.
Yeah, we gotta get some sister in here for real.
Reggae got soul time. Big it up.
All right, guys. Big love. We'll see you next week. Everybody, thanks once again for making it episode 5. Of course, one more time, man, we're giving thanks to Toots Hibbert. Everything he's given us. He's got an amazing catalog of music that's going to take care of us for a long, long time. Want to give a special condolences to Toots' family. Beautiful people, everybody I've met from Toots' family, just amazing people, man. And I know that it's impossible for us to fill the void that man, you know, created when he left the earth last week. So this is a recording that we recorded a few years back. It is produced by the man that you were just listening to, Mr. Paul Kastick. And big props to Goofy as well. And everybody else. Oh, and Benetton the Menace. Benetton, my brethren. All right, so folks, stay positive. Remember, this is all about love. I know we talk a lot about some heavy things in here, but it all comes back to love. It all comes back to reggae music, the power of reggae music, and we remember that reggae music was created in a dreadful experience, right? Because we're talking about the effects of colonialism and slavery that gave the Jamaican people the power to create this amazing music. So we always have to forget where it comes from, man. We always have to remember and pay tribute to those that we'll never know their names, but we're always going to try to fight to make sure that this world moves on and we hold their example up. Okay, we're talking about, you know what we're talking about. All right, Toots, love you, Uncle. Here we go. Big Mountain, Reggae Got Soul. We ready?
Yes.
Let's do this.
Reggae got soul. Oh yeah.
Bennett and the Menace.
This song is dedicated to the undiluted reggae music. Listen to the beat, yeah. Move your dancing feet, rock your body light now. You got to move in time. Grandmother can do it, grandfather can do it. Do it all through the night now. Grandmother can do it, grandfather can do it. Do it and feel alright, yeah. Got soul, got soul. Ooh, can you feel it? You know the reggae got soul. Said I can feel it in my toe. I gotta tell you once again. Ooh, yeah.
Quino, talk to them, brother.
You don't have to salute, no. Not while I'm passing through. Just listen to the beat, yeah. Move your dancing feet. Grandmother can do it, grandfather can do it. Do it all through the night now. Grandmother can do it, grandfather can do it. Do it and feel alright, yeah.
Reggae people on the road. And the family and friends. Just the groove alone. Good for it. When music keep you dancing, keep you rocking and ting. And all over the world, reggae music got a swing. The people say them really love the vibes we bring. I bet it on the minute, so big mountain. It's short for your kids and your grandma. So reggae got so just a bam bam. And the stage show we perform it ram